So a lot of time when we're talking in math, we use the words equations and the word expression. Okay, and these two vocabulary, these two words, they don't mean the same thing. Okay, they're two different things. So when I'm talking about an equation, okay, an equation, the word equation has the word equal in it. Okay, it starts with an equal. And that means it has an equal sign. Okay? So whenever you see something with an equal sign, right? So you have the left side and the right side, okay? We call that an equation. It's like having a sentence or a phrase in English. Okay? They're not the same thing. A sentence and a phrase, they're not the same thing. Similar with math. Equation and an expression, they're two different things. So an equation represents a sentence, which basically you have verb. The verb is, when I read the sentence, the verb is replaces the equal sign. We'll look at examples. That's equal is used. So I'm gonna read a sentence for you, okay? 10 is 5 less than a number. This is the sentence, okay? A number less than 5, that's a phrase. That's not a sentence. And you can see that in the sentence, you have the word is. In the phrase, you don't have the verb is, okay? You can actually solve an equation whenever you have a side equal another side, right? You can solve for the letter. We're gonna look at some examples. But when you have a phrase, you can't solve. You can simplify, you can put things together, you can add like terms, but you can't simplify for that letter. The main thing is an equation has an equal sign, while an expression has sign. So let's read a sentence. 10 is 5 less than a number. So how can I take that sentence and put it into a math equation? 10 is. Now you read the number 10, you're going to write 10. Right? Is, how can I translate is into math? Equal. Now, 5 less than a number. When it says a number, you're going to have to give that number a letter that represents it. So I'm going to say that the number is x. Okay? How can I write 5 less than x?
Minus 5x.
So can you repeat that?
Minus 5x. No?
No. Because that's minus 5 times x, you mean?
Yeah.
No, because there's no multiple. Okay? It's 5 less than a number. Okay? It's x subtract 5. Okay? So let's think about something. If I give you the number 20, what's 5 less than 20?
X minus 5.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What's 5 less than 20? 15, right? So what did you do? You took the 20 and you took away 5 from it, right? What's 5 less than 50? 45, right? So you took 50, and you took away 5 from it. So basically, whatever my number is, and I'm taking 5 out of it. Okay? So it's x minus 5. Okay? So we know this is a sentence because this has an equal sign with it. So the second one is 5 more than a number is 7.
5 plus x equals to 7.
5 plus x equals to 7. Do you guys agree with that? Can I write it as x plus 5 equals to 7? Is 5 plus x or x plus 5 the same thing? Yes, they are. Because you're adding, right? If you add 5 plus 10 or 10 plus 5, they're the same thing. Okay? So in this case, I can write it as x plus 5 equal to 7, or I can write it as 5 plus x equal to 7. With subtraction is not the same thing. Okay? 5 minus x is not the same thing as x minus 5.
So the number always goes before.
It depends. It depends on the sentence that they give you. Okay? It depends on the sentence. So look at this one, right? If you have a number less than 5, right? So in this case, it's 5 minus x, and the number comes first. That less is the most confusing part. Yeah. We don't do a lot of this in grade 11, thank God. Okay? This is not the best part of math, where you go from English to math. Okay? So for this example, a number, again, when I see the word number, I'm going to say it's x. A number less than 5, so it's going to be 5, and then you're taking away a number from it. This is basically 5 less than a number, so this is the same thing that we have talked about before. Okay, so you have a number and you're taking 5 away from it. Okay, so that's 5 plus. So if you look at these two, the 4 examples that we have done, as you can see on the left side, I have that equal sign, right? So it's called an equation. On the right side, we call this an expression because it doesn't have an equal sign. So whatever is on the right side, the expressions, I can only either evaluate. If I give you a value for x and I ask you, find me the answer, you can only evaluate. Or you can, if there's more terms, like terms, you can collect like terms, which in this case doesn't happen. I only have number and letter. Okay? However, whatever I have on the left right here, I can solve. When I say solve something, that means you have to isolate for that letter to see what number satisfies this equation. Okay? So in the first case, so where you have 10 equals to x minus 5, if I ask you to solve for x, what do? Move the negative 5 over. Solve means you're isolating. Okay? So you're isolating your letter. So to isolate for this letter, so you want to leave this here and you want to move this over. By moving something over the equal sign, I call it over the bridge, right? You're going to have to perform an opposite operation. Okay?
10 plus 5.
It's going to be 10 plus 5, right? Because your operation is negative here. By moving it over, it becomes an addition because that's your opposite operation. Okay? So I move that negative 5 over the equal sign. I perform the opposite operation. Some of you might have learned it as I'm doing the opposite operation on both sides. Some of you have learned it this way. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides, right? Where the plus 5 and the negative 5 cancel, right? They're both the same thing. Whatever way you want to do it, you can do it. Okay? I like to see it as I'm moving it to the other side, so I'm performing the opposite operation. Okay? But both ways are exactly the same thing. Okay? 10 plus 5 is 15 equals 2x. Okay? So that tells me, in order for this side to be equal to the side, remember that with an equation, where you have the equal sign, it's like a balance. Okay? Where you have something on the left, something on the right, and the values have to be exactly the same. Okay? So if basically, this is telling me that if x is 15, 15 minus 5 is 10. And that left side is equal to the right side. Okay? If I want to take my second equation and I want to isolate for my letter or solve. So what do? So I have x plus 5 equals 7.
5 over there.
So if I move the 5 over to the other side of the equal, what happens to it?
We said x equals to 7 minus 5.
That's right, because the opposite of addition is subtraction. Okay? What's the opposite of multiplication? Division. Okay? And the opposite of division is multiplication. So these are your operation that you're going to have to remember. Okay? So that would be x equals 2. Now, when it comes to the expression, again, you can't solve for the letter, but they would give you values for either x or y or whatever letter you have, and you're going to have to plug them in to evaluate. We call that substitution. Okay? So it says the expression is evaluated by substituting a value for the variable. So let's say we're going to tell you that if x equals to 2, so for the first one, so evaluate 5 minus x. Okay? So I told you that x equals to 2, and I'm asking you to evaluate 5 minus x. What do you do?
Put 2 in place of x.
That's right. So basically you are substituting. So you're removing that x and you're replacing it by its value 2. So 5 minus 2 equals, and that's it. That's your answer. Okay? It's just a substitution. Question is, I'm giving you x equals 1, evaluate x minus 5. So you have to replace x with 1, right? And that's going to be negative 4. So I want you to work on example 1 and example 2. Example 1, it's giving you the values for x and y, and it's asking you to plug in the values of x and y in and evaluate your expression.